What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a subscriber story for y'all that I honestly could not believe when I read it. Basically, this dude was just chilling, minding his own business, vibing, and had a little bit of beef with this kid in one of his classes, and instead of them solving it, fighting amongst themselves, the kid ended up bringing his mom to school to settle it, and the mom tried to fight this kid. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, the apple does not fall too far from the tree if your mom's crazy. And regardless, I figured it would be a good story time, so let's get into it. Press the like button or no joke, no scam. You'll get kidnapped by Ninja Turtles, and let's go. Eyes like an eagle, stacking so much money you would think that it's illegal. I'm getting quiet now. Lay low when you reach, so I'm vibing now. Making out, stack the bread, cause you love the sound, just so I'm quiet. Alright, so this story takes place when the person who sent this in to me was in 7th grade, and 7th grade is kind of a weird time, you know? You're not a little kid anymore, but, like, you're not a full-blown teenager yet, so, you know, you have the personality of, like, I want to go do what I want to do and be independent, but adults really don't like that, you know? So, yeah, naturally, you get a little angsty. It's nothing wrong with that, okay? I'm just saying 7th grade is when the teenage angst kind of starts to kick in, and because of that, you know, a lot of people want to be all tough and oh, I'm awesome, I'm this, I'm that. And the person who sent me in the story wasn't one of those people, but there was this kid in his class that we're gonna name, Stuart. And, Stuart, you know, was definitely one of those kids that wanted to convince everybody he was tough. He was constantly talking about how, like, if anybody had the nerve to talk back to him, he was gonna knock him out, you know, was constantly threatening to fight people. And mostly people just wouldn't fight him because it wasn't worth it. Like, he talked really tough, but he never actually would do anything that would give anyone a reason to fight him. And you're not just gonna fight this kid who's talking tough for no reason. And so Stuart and the person who sent in the story, who I'm gonna name Jack, they were, you know, not enemies. They weren't friends. They didn't really like each other, but, like, there wasn't any bad blood there. And then one day they were just kind of in class, and for some reason Stuart decided to start, like, picking on Jack to look tough in front of everybody. And obviously, this, like, was mostly Stuart saying, oh, you're a nerd, like, I could beat you up, da-da-da-da-da, all that type of stuff, right? And so, Jack, being the type of kid who, you know, wasn't really a fighter, but, like, could kind of roast people back, just started kind of roasting Stuart in front of everybody. Obviously, Stuart, whose plan was to, like, threaten to fight this guy, him not fight back and look all tough, immediately started to get all embarrassed, you know? Because when your plan is to look all tough and then suddenly somebody starts pointing out that, like, dude, why are you being so weird and trying to fight me for no reason? Like, we've normally got along. That's kind of cringe. And everybody starts giggling, you know. Stuart started to get big mad. His plan wasn't to be embarrassed. So he starts to kind of press Jack a little bit more, and he's like, you know, oh, you think you're so tough? You think it's slick that you can, you know, get people to laugh at me? Well, you're not gonna think it's funny when we fight. And he, like, shoved Jack. And I guess the teacher had been out of the room for whatever reason at this point. So when he shoved Jack, Jack decided that he was gonna shove him back. And what's really bizarre to me is every time I get a story like this, or every time I've experienced somebody that wants to be really tough and, like, is constantly trying to start fights, is that they're never actually big enough to, like, really back up what they're doing. I feel like it's probably because people that are giant don't really need to be a bully, because, like, people are naturally just not gonna mess with them. But the Stuart kid was not big, so when he starts kind of, like, shoving Jack, Jack shoves him back, and Stuart naturally is affected more by the shove. So he falls down, bro, right on his butt, you know, like a little pop. The entire class starts to giggle once again, and he gets up and he's like, that's it, dude, we're gonna fight after school. And Jack is like, I'm not gonna fight you after school, just calm down. And at that point, the teacher comes back into the room, and all she sees is Jack and Stuart up in each other's faces, kind of arguing. She tells them to settle down because she doesn't want to have to send them to the deans, you know, and both of them, it's hilarious. So we're just willing to, like, talk about how much they want to fight each other. But as soon as the teacher walks in, since they're both in 7th grade, they're like, oh, yes, ma'am, you know, so they just kind of shut up and sit down. But the entire class, Stuart is kind of, like, mad dogging Jack, being like, yeah, you know, every time he would look over at him, he would do the thing where he takes his fist and, like, puts it in his hand, you know, punches his palm, which is probably one of the weirdest intimidation tactics ever, bro. Like, yeah, I'm gonna hit my palm while we make eye contact. Yeah, like, do you want to hit me like that, or do you want to, like, pound me like that, bro? I'm really confused on the in like the messaging here. Regardless, he was just kind of trying to act all intimidating across the class. So the class ends, they go about their day, and after school, when Jack goes to get on his bus, he's going over there, and Stuart and a group of kids is waiting for him in front of the bus. So he kind of just just like walks up and tries to walk past him. And as he does, Stuart grabs him and is like, "Where you going, chicken? You know, you don't want to fight me," trying to act all tough in front of his friends. And his friends are like, "Ooh, oh." And that's when Jack once again just shoves him as hard as he can. And the kid once again plops onto his little butt. Not very prepared for this once again, bro. Like, I know I'm saying once again, and I'll stop after that. I got it out of my system. But, like, if you're gonna try to fight somebody, wait for them at their bus and start a fight, you've got to be prepared to get pushed, bro. Like, you know this person's bigger than you. They've already once today shoved you and you've fallen on your butt. So at no point did you decide to, like, brace yourself a little better. I just feel like the Stuart guy is a terrible bully. He has no thinking, no possibility of processing what's going on. It's really pathetic, Stuart. I'm ashamed of you, man. Like, how are you gonna get knocked on your butt twice by the same person? The second time they push you, you should just be prepared and ready for it. Like, how is it gonna catch you off guard? It's already happened. Anyways, when he just shoves Stuart and he falls over again, this time in front of all of his friends and more people, everybody starts laughing, and at that point, Stuart is kind of covering his face with his hands, and Jack realizes that, oh, he's crying. I don't know if it was the fall and the bruise on his tushy, or like the fact that everybody was laughing at him, but something had embarrassed this Stuart kid to the point where he's crying now. And Jack naturally decided that this was the ultimate kill shot. This kid wants to act all tough and bully everybody, so he's like, "Are you crying? Are you kidding me?" And points out to everyone that the kid is crying. So naturally, everybody starts laughing even more, talking about, "Bro, you wanted to start the fight and you're the one crying?" Which, I'm not gonna lie, is pretty funny. Like, how are you gonna start the fight and then start crying when somebody pushes you? That is kind of hilarious, let's be honest. But it does not exactly help Stuart get less angry. So Stuart gets all mad and he gets up in Jack's face and is like, "You're gonna regret this, man. I'm gonna bring my mom to school tomorrow and she's gonna fight you." And obviously the crowd laughs even harder at that point. And Stuart's like, "I'm not kidding. My mom said that she'll back me up anytime that there's a bully and you're bullying me," which is hilarious, bro. Like, yeah, Jack's the one bullying you. You waited for him outside of his bus for him to walk up and then tried to fight him. But, you know, he's bullying you. Just because you lose doesn't mean that, like, you're the one getting bullied, you know? Just because you're bad at your follow-through, you just can't make fun of people adequately or, like, fight them, doesn't mean that they're bullying you. Like, if you start the fight, you still are the instigator, you know? Anyways, even with all the embarrassment, the kid's like, "My mom's coming tomorrow, get ready." And, obviously, Jack doesn't really believe him, because who actually wants to bring their mom to back him up during a fight? Apparently this kid, but we're getting there. So he gets on the bus, and naturally, everybody on the bus starts walking up to him, asking him what happened, you know, if he's nervous, da-da-da-da-da. And then somebody says something like, "Are you nervous to fight his mom tomorrow?" And Jack looks at him and is like, "Dude, there's no way his mom is coming." And he starts to laugh, but the person who asked him if he's ready to fight his mom isn't laughing. And that's when Jack is kind of like, "Oh, that's weird." So he kind of presses him like, "Well, is his mom actually gonna come? Like, there's no way his mom is actually coming, right?" And the person who's talking to him is like, "Look, all I'm saying is that I can definitely attest that when I was in elementary school with the kid, there were definitely times where his mom would come in and get up in the face of kids that he would have problems with and yell at them, so I wouldn't be surprised if his mom actually showed up and wanted to fight." So, you know, if this guy's mom has a reputation for showing up in classes and yelling at kids and trying to fight them, and you just made him look dumb in front of the entire school, there's a decent probability she'll show up. I don't know about you, but if I was in 7th grade and like thought that somebody's parent was actually gonna come try and fight me, I would have been scared. And naturally Jack was too. He's like, I'm not a ginormous fan of the idea of having to fight a grown woman. Homie didn't even have armpit hair yet, and like he was about to fight Karen? No, he loses that fight every time. He would have been devoured. She would have like dementored him and sucked his soul out of his body, you know, and just used it to go yell at more managers at a Subway later in the day. Anyways, he goes home and he's nervous and he's just like picking at his dinner that night, and his parents can tell something's wrong, so they kind of ask him like, "Okay, what's happening?" So he tells his parents the story about how the kid was waiting at his bus and da-da-da-da-da, and apparently his mom's gonna come fight him, and he's scared because he doesn't want to have to fight an adult, and yada yada yada. And his parents do what most parents do in these situations, which is where they're like, "Okay, you clearly are being very active in your imagination. That's not gonna happen." And that always drove me crazy because my parents would do this too. They'd like ask me, and then I'd tell them, and then they just wouldn't believe what I told them. And it's like, all right, well, this is why I'm not telling you. So he's telling his parents about how he's horrified this grown woman's gonna show up and fight him. And instead of like calling the school and trying to get to the bottom of this, or, you know, making sure that this lady can't just show up at the school and fight their son, they just start telling him how that's ridiculous and he has nothing to be afraid of because no logical adult would ever show up at a middle school to fight someone. And while, yeah, technically his parents aren't wrong, you know, no logical adult would ever do it, you do realize that there's a lot of people on this planet that are not very logical, right? Like, the amount of people that are logical is slim to none. It's a very low amount. You think there's no crazy people? I've literally made a video on Scrubbe before about a mom who showed up and fought a girl at her daughter's middle school. And that was like a news story as well. This has happened multiple times. Yeah, I would kind of be concerned if my son came home telling me about how someone's mom was gonna show up and fight him. But whatever, his parents are like, you got nothing to be afraid of, it's okay. In fact, his dad tells him that, well, if his mom does show up, it won't be that bad, because if she hits you, like, at least you can sue her, you know? Like, they're trying to make a joke out of it. Meanwhile, this kid's picking at his peas at dinner, about to crap his pants at the idea that he's gonna have to throw hands with, like, Pinterest's most badass woman. Dude, she's verified on Pinterest, man. Oh my god, she brought an army of thumbtack moms to come fight you. Like, dude, who knows what little life hacks she's picked up on Pinterest, little battle weapons she's gonna sneak into the school and use. It's all fun and games till you find her Pinterest board and, like, instead of, you know, normal stuff like house decorations or, you know, wedding ideas or whatever people do on Pinterest, it's just like battle weapons, how to make pocket sand that leaves permanent blindness, like stuff like that. She's just preparing to fight this kid, getting everything ready to go. Anyways, his parents don't really help. The kid kind of goes back upstairs and he's just kind of trying to figure this out on his own. He decides to hop on Xbox and starts talking to a couple of his friends on there, and they're kind of like, bro, you're gonna have to fight a grown woman, they're not really helping. So he gets off, he tries to go to bed early, and he's just sitting there kind of freaking out at the idea of this grown woman coming to fight him. He finally falls asleep. Next day, wakes up, has to go to school, so he gets in the car. The entire way to school, he's just thinking about what's gonna happen. He gets there and gets into class and whatnot, is going about the day, and everybody walks up to him telling him that Stuart isn't at school that day. Like, Stuart was gone. And instantly the kid's super relieved. He's like, oh my god, thank goodness, you know, that means his mom's not gonna be here. If he's not here, everything's gonna be fine. And for the rest of the day, he feels this weight off his shoulders. He feels like everything's gonna be good. There's no reason for him to be stressed. And, you know, everything seems normal. So the day's going good, and at the end of the day, he gets ready to start walking to the bus, and he starts going to the bus, like, you know, where they have them all lined up in front of the school. And when he gets to his bus, he realizes that there's a massive group of kids at the bus, and he's like, huh, that's kind of weird. So he kind of starts walking slower and just kind of looking at the crowd, seeing what's up. And he sees a woman that he doesn't really recognize there, and he thinks it's one of the teachers. And he kind of starts looking, and he realizes that, no, the woman is standing next to a kid who looks familiar, and it's Stuart. Yeah, that's right. The Stuart kid hadn't been at school today, but he is sure enough standing right next to this kid's bus with a grown woman who looks an awful lot like him and is probably his mother. The one thing that Stuart had failed to mention, bro, is that his mom wasn't like a normal mom, you know, not some normal 30-year-old woman that was just kind of here at the middle school to yell at some kids that were being mean to her son. No, his mom was like a bodybuilder, bro. His mom was jacked. I think the reason she probably had shown up to elementary school screaming at people is because she had roid rage, dog. Like, you know, the girl, oh my gosh, what's the movie where she's like really jacked. She wears the do-rag. Is it Grown Ups into yoga? You guys know what I'm saying, bro. That lady, the lady on roids, like, that's what this chick ended up looking like, you know. Somehow, he had left out the fact that his mom was gonna come fight him and that his mom was also, you know, Bruce Banner and was gonna transform into the Hulk and literally rip him in half. So he's like swallowing, realizing that he basically has to get on the bus. If he misses the bus, his parents are gonna have to come get him, and obviously they're not gonna believe him when he says that this dude's mom had shown up to fight him. So he just starts walking up towards the bus, and as he starts walking up, the crowd kind of splits. Dude, it's like Moses parting the Red Sea. Everybody just gets out of this way so this guy could walk to his death, I guess. And Stuart points at him and goes, Mom, he's there. And the mom looks, and it's like Anakin when his eyes went evil in Star Wars, bro. That's the hatred in them. All right, guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is actually a PlayStation gift card. I give away a gift card in every single video here on this channel as a way to just say thank you to everyone who's subscribed with notifications on. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss another upload. And if you're somebody who already has them on, then thank you so much. You really do help out the channel a lot, and it's much appreciated. And yeah, I'll shut up and let you guys get back to the story time now. Thank you and enjoy. So Stuart's mom walks over to Jack, grabs him by the collar of his shirt, and starts lifting him up. And she's like, are you the kid that thinks it's funny to like mess with my son? You know, do you think it's funny to like pick on people, huh? How about you pick on somebody your own size? Which is very ironic considering she's large enough to grab this kid by his collar and lift him off the floor, you know, like you're very much bigger than him, but whatever. And at this point, Jack realizes that this lady is pissed. She's going to hurt him. Like he really doesn't know what to do. So he goes for a move that everybody has probably thought of out of desperation. You see, Jack, keep in mind, is in 7th grade, and he's not too familiar with the anatomy of a woman, but his feet happen to be in an area where he can kick her right in the groin. Now, it does not hurt as bad, obviously, but he thinks about it and realizes this is his best bet, winds up his foot as hard as he could, and then just kicks it. Gives her the coochie kick. She recoils in pain and drops him, right? Once she drops him, he kind of like stands there for a second frozen. Didn't really realize that it was gonna work that effectively, you know? She's like, oh my god, you just kicked me! And Stuart goes, Mom! And at that point, the anger kind of rushes back into Jack's blood, and he takes his fist and he just punches Stuart as hard as he can in the face. So Stuart falls over, but, you know, by the grace of God, dude, RNG, luckier than Dream 1 in 7 trillion. Stuart, when he falls over, falls onto his mom, and they kind of, like, flop to the ground. And at that point, everybody's like, oh my god, oh, fight, fight, fight. So the people that are, like, the bus monitors in the area start running over to try to figure out what's going on. So they kind of start, like, bursting through the crowd. They grab Stuart, they grab Jack, and they don't really know what's going on with the lady, but they tell her to come with them, too. So they all go into the principal's office. And Stuart and his mom immediately start trying to like spin it that Jack started it. He's the aggressor, everything his fault automatically. She thinks she's gonna get away with it because she's an adult, but little does she know, and I don't know why people do this, bro. It's like people forget we live in the 21st century. They have security cameras. So sure enough, the Jack kid is like, all right, well, go ahead and check the cameras. If I really just viciously attacked you out of nowhere, then it'll be on the cameras. And as soon as he starts mentioning cameras, dude, this guy's mom's tone just changes. It's like, you know, we can actually just leave. It's okay. It's okay. But no, the principal's like, I think we need to check the cameras. This is obviously an incident. You know, it led to an altercation. So they check the cameras and they see that this lady, you know, walked up, grabbed him, the entire situation, the coochie kick, all of it is caught in 4K, high definition, fantastic quality. And obviously, as soon as the footage starts playing, the mom and Stuart just go silent because it's obvious that they're the aggressors in this particular situation. So once this is all found out, the principal kind of starts being like, you're not allowed at the school anymore to the mom. They have to call Jack's parents. It's an entire situation. And sure enough, they call Jack's parents and they're like, hi, it's the principal. And they're like, oh no, what did my son do? And the principal has to explain to his parents that like a mom had shown up and tried to fight their kid. And sure enough, his parents end up feeling like morons, rightfully so, because he had literally told them that this dude's mom was going to show up and try to fight him. And they were like, no, that wouldn't happen. No logical adult would show up and try to fight a child. Yeah, no logical adult would, but obviously anyone willing to fight a kid is not considered a logical adult. I don't feel like this is rocket science, bro. So his parents had to come pick him up. They had to decide if they wanted to press charges or not for assault. For some reason, his parents didn't. I'm just saying it. If any parent ever shows up and fights my kid, I'm suing you, bro. I'm taking it all. And I'm not gonna feel bad about it, dog. What do you mean? You're a grown adult showing up to a middle school to start swinging on kids? I will say, though, the only good thing that came out of this, from Jack's perspective at least, was that he became like a legend around school, dude. Anybody that manages to get into a situation where they're fighting an adult and then win is insane. Stuart ended up changing schools shortly thereafter, probably from sheer embarrassment. He ended up getting suspended, like that was his official punishment, but changing schools was probably more at the parents' discretion, bro. I could not imagine the shame of having to come pick up my kid from school when everybody knows that I showed up and tried to fight a student one day. Like, oh, that's gotta be painfully embarrassing, but hey, at least Jack was a legend out of it. If you are gonna get any benefits out of it, there's one. It's not a very good one, but it is one. Anyways, guys, though, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you pressing the like button. This video was longer, and if you guys like the longer videos, a good way to let me know that is like and comment, all that stuff, because it does help the video do better. Subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. And if you're in the market for G Fuel, use code SCRUBBY for 10% off. It's a pretty fantastic system, you know. If you want more content, I do have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. You can find a link to that down below, and a link to the intro song will also be down there as well. And obviously, I'm pretty biased, but if you want to get some of the coolest merch to ever exist, the link to the merch store is down there as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna go fight somebody's mom now, simply because I can. If anybody wants to recommend me a mom to throw down with, leave it in the comments. But yeah, on that note, as I said, thank you guys for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see you guys all next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.